My name is Hugh Borroman. I have the honour to be the official secretary to His Excellency the Governor, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. As we start, could I please ask that you ensure that your mobile phones are on silent, and please can we ask no photography during the ceremony. There will be official photographs available, and you're more than welcome to take photographs in the grounds or in this room afterwards. We are live streaming the ceremony on our YouTube website, and it is available for viewing again afterwards should you so wish. This is the second of 3 ceremonies to present Australian honours, most of which were announced on Australia Day 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the arrival of His Excellency the Governor and Mrs. Lay, and please remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute. Your Excellency, the following appointment to Member of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been made. The Reverend NORAH ALIENE NORRIS is recognised for significant service to the Uniting Church in Australia, to religious education and as a role model. Reverend Norris's life story is one of self-sacrifice and trailblazing leadership for women in the clergy. In 1972, she was elected the first female clerk of the South Australian Presbyterian Assembly, the first woman in the English-speaking world to undertake this role. 4 years later, she was the first woman ordained in the Presbyterian Church in South Australia and became the first woman to preach in St Peter's Cathedral, Adelaide. Reverend Norris is also recognised for her parish work and chaplaincy as a deaconess, as well as her membership of various groups. These include the Joint Constitution and other bodies involved in the formation of the Uniting Church in Australia, in addition to the South Australian Council of Churches and Australian Churchwomen. Since retirement, Reverend Norris has been an active member of the Scots Uniting Church and has taken roles with adult fellowships, interchurchwomen and frontier services. She continues to serve others well into her 90s. The Reverend NORAH ALIENE NORRIS. Your Excellency, the Australian Fire Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Brian Moon is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Metropolitan Fire Service. Mr. Moon joined the South Australian Metropolitan Fire Service in 2007. He soon became a Juvenile Firelighters Intervention Program practitioner and a peer support member, later joining the senior peer team. As a qualified senior firefighter, he continues to regularly undertake operational firefighter duties. In 2014, Mr. Moon became an employee support coordinator. The following year, he prepared a business case to develop a mental health first aid course to raise awareness of mental health issues across the MFS, which has since been delivered to over 900 personnel. Mr. Moon also led the development of an educational short film documenting mental health awareness. Today, this training resource continues to be used by the SA Police, SA Country Fire Service, SA State Emergency Service and other first responder agencies across Australia. Mr. Brian Moon. Mr. Kevin William Stewart is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Metropolitan Fire Service. Mr. Stewart joined the South Australian Metropolitan Fire Service in 2001 and since then has worked mostly in urban search and rescue and regional operations, devoting considerable time to training specialist technicians. Mr. Stewart has served in many roles including firefighting, incident management and more recently in peer support. He has also been involved with interstate deployments, assisting with critical functions. Mr. Stewart has played an important role in upskilling regional firefighters in road crash rescue, spending many months as a regional operations coordinator in the Riverland. In 2020, Mr. Stewart was approached by the MFS COVID Task Force to assist regional operations as a support officer during the pandemic, taking a significant number of calls from regional firefighters and their families seeking emotional and practical support. Mr. Kevin William Stewart. Commander Lee Douglas Watson is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Country Fire Service. Mr. Watson has been a dedicated and progressive member of the SA Country Fire Service during his 40 years of service. During this time, he has attended 1,000 operational responses to various fires and road accident rescues, while serving in a range of roles at the Basket Range and Norton Summit Ashton CFS Brigades and East Torrens CFS Group, including at the rank of Commander. He was instrumental in establishing and maintaining the CFS as a registered training organisation, enabling thousands of personnel to receive nationally accredited qualifications. In his current role as Director, Operational Infrastructure and Logistics Commander, he has undertaken a number of significant projects, including the introduction of new uniform styles, extensive contract efficiencies, and improved response vehicles, which offer some of the highest levels of crew protection in the country. Commander Lee Douglas Watson. Mr. Andrew Wood is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Country Fire Service. Mr. Wood joined the SA Country Fire Service in 2006 and has undertaken several key leadership roles, including Brigade Captain, a position he currently holds at the American River CFS. His distinguished and exceptional leadership saw him become President of the CFS Volunteers Association in 2015, where he has been a staunch advocate and supporter for volunteers across the state and the nation. Since 2018, Mr. Wood has also held the position of President of the Council of Australian Volunteer Fire Associations, where he advocates on behalf of the nation's 250,000 volunteer firefighters. His dedication to ensuring that frontline personnel receive the support they need is exceptional, and his strong relationships with key partner agencies is testament to his dedication and commitment to his community. Mr. Andrew Wood. Your Excellency, the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been awarded to the following recipients. Mrs. Patricia Mary CHIGWIDOEN is recognised for service to local government and to the community of Victor Harbor. Mrs. CHIGWIDOEN's heart and soul is firmly in the Victor Harbor community. She served as Deputy Mayor for 6 years, a councillor for 18, and was a member of several council committees over many years. She also made an impact on the town in a multitude of other community roles. She has been a welcoming face for tourists at the Visitor Information Centre, passing on her knowledge and pride in the region with her warm and caring personality. As a member and coordinator of Victor Harbour's Town Pride Committee, every Tuesday morning she joins her fellow volunteers to keep the roundabouts, Main Street, Wales Centre and Railway Station gardens looking immaculate. Mrs. CHIGWIDOEN has also volunteered with the Chiltern Rocks Surf Lifesaving Club, Victor Harbour Rotary Club, Encounter Lakes Residents Group, Victor Harbour Business Association, the Australian Coastal Council and the Penguin Club. Mrs. Patricia Mary CHIGWIDOEN. Mrs. Christine Joan Halbert is recognised for service to the history of Australian rules football and to music. As the wife of former Sturt player and Magarey medalist John Halbert AM, Mrs. Halbert has spent much of her life around Australian rules football. She drew on her love of the sport and her connections to gather memorabilia and curate the exhibition In a League of Their Own, 140 Years of the SANFL, in the State Library in 2017. She is currently the director of the SANFL History Centre at Bowden, which houses a wide variety of South Australian football artefacts, including pictures, trophies, footballs and video footage of past grand finals. Mrs. Halbert is also a skilled pianist, vocalist and teacher. She coordinated the Lutheran 175th anniversary celebration at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre and has taught at the Elder Conservatorium of Music. Mrs. Christine Joan Halbert. Your Excellency, the following appointments to Member of the Order of Australia in the General Division have been made. Mr. Bruce Fulton McFarlane is recognised for significant service to the community through a range of roles and to business. Mr. McFarlane has contributed significantly to the community through his business career in the motor trades, hospitality and property industries, alongside his philanthropic deeds and commitment to his beloved Port Adelaide Football Club. Through his former company, Morn Team Motors, he is a long-term benefactor of Port Adelaide and also served as a SANFL League Director from 2007 to 10. Widely known for his generosity, work ethic and vision, he helped shape the Port Adelaide Football Club in his role as the Magpies President and Chairman from 2007 to 12. He was instrumental in ensuring Port Adelaide survived in the SANFL during the 2000s, providing a foundation for the One Club merger in 2011. Mr. Bruce Fulton McFarlane. Ms. Winnie Martha PELZ is recognised for significant service to arts administration and to the community. Ms. PELZ has made a significant impact in South Australia as a celebrated artist, arts administrator and respected media broadcaster and presenter. During her term as the Jam Factory's Executive Chair and Artistic Director from 1981 to 86, the organisation became a national icon. She has also contributed to the community through senior management roles with the Government of South Australia, the Living Arts Centre and the St Peter's College Foundation. Ms. PELZ has also served on several government, public and private sector boards, including the Adelaide Festival Centre Trust, Film Australia, the Australian String Quartet, the National Australia Day Council and the National Library of Australia. Her contribution to news and current affairs through the Today at 1 and This Day Tonight television programs contributed to her winning a Logie in 1976 for most popular female in South Australia. Pieces for her textile, mixed media and tapestry weaving works are held in significant public collections, including the Art Gallery of South Australia, the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery and Art Bank. Ms. Winnie Martha PELZ. Your Excellency, the Emergency Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Richard Gordon Davison is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australian State Emergency Service. Mr. Davison joined the SES Port Lincoln unit in 2008 and became the unit's training coordinator the following year. He is currently its senior marine skipper. Mr. Davison's service during the years since has been exemplary. He has gained qualifications in numerous areas including storm and flood response, land search operations, communications, road crash rescue, incident control, urban search and rescue, and base camp and staging operations. He also has qualifications as a truck driver, navigator, and in various marine roles. As an active member of Port Lincoln's marine rescue capability, Mr. Davison has also provided support to the Tumby Bay unit and was deployed to the Kumunga bushfire in 2012. He has also represented his region as a member of the SES Volunteers Association. Mr. Richard Gordon Davison. Mr. Anthony Pole is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australian Emergency Service. Mr. Pole joined the SES in 1984. In his more than 3 decades of service, he has gained qualifications in a wide variety of search and rescue capabilities. Mr. Pole has held numerous positions with the Mount Gambier and District Unit and became the unit manager in 1995, a role he held for 5 years. While serving as manager, Mr. Pole lobbied local councils for funding and equipment as the unit's member base increased. He also managed the changeover from local council to state government funding. In 2000, Mr. Pole was heavily involved in the staging of the National Road Crash Rescue Competition in Mount Gambier. And for 20 years, until 2020, he worked tirelessly as the unit treasurer and business coordinator for the Mount Gambier and District Unit. Mr. Pole's passion for and dedication to his community is in the finest tradition of the South Australian State Emergency Service. Mr. Anthony Pole. Your Excellency, the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Kim Leslie Callaghan is recognised for service to local government and to the community of Elliston. Mr. Callaghan has served the Elliston District Council as an elected member for more than 11 years, including as chairman for 4 years and deputy for 1. He is also recognised for his contribution to helping establish the Wirangu Reconciliation Monument, which acknowledges the deaths of Aboriginal people at Waterloo Bay in May 1849. The project earned the Elliston District Council a Promoting Indigenous Recognition Award at the National Local Government Awards in 2018. A retiree himself, Mr. Callaghan recognised the need for a place for older men to meet, talk and get involved in hobbies, and helped establish the Elliston Men's Shed. He is also recognised for his 5-year service as presiding member of the Midwest Health Advisory Council. Mr. Kim Leslie Callaghan. Ms. Janet Simmons is recognised for service to youth through guides and to the community. Ms. Simmons has been involved in the South Australian Girl Guides for more than 50 years, becoming a life member in 2008. She was a founding member of the Entente Trefoil Guild in 2010 and is currently a member of the Night Owls Trefoil Guild. Her dedication to the Guides has culminated in her position as Secretary, State Trefoil Guild, and Minute Secretary, SA Management Team and Board. At a national level, she has been a member of the Australia Trefoil Guild Gathering Planning Committee, the National Training Committee, and the Adult Award Review Committee. She is an Honorary Associate of Girl Guides Australia and an accredited trainer of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. In 2018, she received the Red Kangaroo Award for her significant contribution to guiding in Australia. And she is also a recipient of the Asia Pacific Leadership Award, World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. Ms. Janet Simmons. Fiona Marie Thompson is recognised for service to youth through guides and to academic librarianship. Ms. Thompson's organisation, leadership and interpersonal skills have served her extremely well in her pursuits as a librarian and Girl Guides leader. Her involvement with Girl Guides South Australia dates back to the 1970s, and over the years she has worked as a youth leader and national trainer, as well as State Council member. She has also been an active member of the Girl Guides Association of Australia and is an accredited trainer with the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. In her professional career, Ms Thompson spent many years with the University of South Australia, working as an academic librarian and IT professional. She has had a strong involvement with the Australian Library and Information Association, taking part in several committees. Ms Fiona Marie Thompson. Professor Lester IRABINNA RIGNEY is recognised for significant service to Indigenous education and to social inclusion research. Professor Rigney is one of the most influential Indigenous educators in Australia, with expertise spanning Indigenous education, languages and knowledge transfer. Committed to addressing education inequalities for Aboriginal people, Professor Rigney has been a visiting research fellow at a number of overseas universities, including Cambridge, Fort Hare and the University of British Columbia. He was recently named Distinguished Professor at King's College in London, and in 2009 he received an honorary United Nations Award for his work in Indigenous education. Professor Rigney has been a director of the Wiltu Yalu Indigenous Research Centre at the University of Adelaide and the director of the Yungarendi First Nations Centre for Higher Education and Research at Flinders University. He is now a visiting scholar at the University of South Australia. Professor Rigney has also been generous in sharing his expertise through appointments to high-level state, federal and educational ministerial and expert committees, including the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare Closing the Gap Reference Group. Professor Lester IRABINNA RIGNEY. Your Excellency, the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Barry Charles Clarke is recognised for service to people who are blind or have low vision. Mr. Clarke has made an outstanding contribution to the Royal Society for the Blind as a board member for almost 30 years. As Mr. Clarke is legally blind, he understands the challenges and support required by people who are blind or vision impaired, and has actively supported, advocated and championed their needs. He has held several leadership positions with the RSB, including President, Treasurer, Chair of the Client Advisory Committee and currently Vice President. Mr. Clarke has helped steer the organisation through substantial change in the sector, particularly the introduction of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. A qualified accountant with more than 40 years' experience in the financial services sector, he is also recognised for his service to a number of companies in executive and CEO roles. Mr. Barry Charles Clarke. Mrs. Georgina June Hanley is recognised for service to war widows and their families. For 30 years, Mrs. Hanley has been an active member of the South Australian War Widows Guild. She has held a range of committee positions, including Vice President and President, as well as Acting National President. Mrs. Hanley has also been past President of the Christie's Beach and McLaren Vale Legacy Clubs and was involved in the establishment of the McLaren Vale Club in 1995. Her commitment to ex-servicemen and women and their families extends to time as a member of the Central Council of the Women's Auxiliary RSL. She has been a member of the Korea and Southeast Asia Forces Association since 1990. Mrs. Hanley has opened her home many times between 1990 and 2010 to host and organise functions for bereaved widows and widowers. She has also been a tireless volunteer with the McLaren Vale and District's War Memorial Hospital. Mrs. Georgina June Hanley. Mrs. Nadia Emilia Moffat is recognised for service to community health, particularly to people with a brain injury. Mrs. Moffat's commitment to community health is reflected in her board and committee duties. She has been a non-executive director of Brain Injury SA since 2009 and is the former chair of its Member and External Communications Committee. Mrs. Moffat is a member of the Stroke Foundation Consumer Council and is a trained Stroke Safe speaker and Stroke Safe ambassador. She has been a community member on the Governing Council of the Northern Adelaide Local Health Network since 2017 and also sat on the network's Community Advisory Council from 2017 to 19. Mrs. Moffat has also been a board member of the Australian Communication Consumers Action Network since 2016 and is also a former member of ACAN's Standing Advisory Committee for Disability Issues. Mrs. Nadia Emilia Moffat. The late Mr. Douglas Robert Scott is recognised for service to the community through a range of roles. Mr. Scott's award will be accepted by his brother, Mr. William Scott, on behalf of the family. The late Mr. Scott was a long-standing employee of the Electricity Trust of South Australia, ETSA, working his way up to Generation Services Director. After his retirement in 1986, he became an active member of the ETSA Past Employees Association, serving as president from 2004 to 2006. In his spare time, Mr. Scott kept busy through a range of volunteer work, as well as indulging his passion for choir. He used his technical knowledge volunteering and managing a workshop aimed at training young unemployed people in the metal trades. He is also former president of various community organisations, including Largs Bay Rotary Club, Good Neighbour Council Port Augusta, and the Port Augusta Apex Club. He learned to sing in the 1950s at the Elder Conservatorium and was a member of a number of choirs, including the Adelaide Male Voice Choir. The late Mr. Douglas Robert Scott. Mrs. Alison Stillwell is recognised for service to the community of Kingston. Mrs. Stillwell's volunteer work in the Kingston region began when she joined the Kingston Saints Netball Club after moving to the town in the 1980s. Her time at the club included stints as president, secretary and coach, as well as a valued player. Mrs. Stillwell has also undertaken the roles of president and secretary of the Kingston Triathlon Club. She is actively involved in the Kingston South East Branch, National Trust of South Australia, where she began volunteering in 2014. She is also a member of the Cape Jaffa Lighthouse History Centre and recently coordinated the Margaret Brock Room development within the lighthouse. A talented musician, she was a founding member of the Kingston District Community Theatre Group and accompanied the Kingston Community School Choir from 1989 to 2018. Mrs. Alison Stillwell.